Let's just go over all the topics, and then I'll give you guys plenty of time in your groups to work on all the review that you need to and get reps, and more reps. So let's talk about Hill-Sass. Will be on there tomorrow. First, how do I know when I can use Hill-Sass? The diagram will tell you when you can use Hills and Sass. Here's the diagram that you can use Hills and Sass on. First of all, does anybody see 30, 60, or 45 written in? So don't write it in yourself. It's not there for a reason because it's not that type of problem. Don't write those numbers in yourself. Why is this a Hills and Sass problem? Well, let's talk to somebody. 8, what type of triangle do I have in the large one? A right triangle. Yes. What is BD in that right triangle? It is an altitude. One more question for you. That is drawn to the what of triangle ABC? What is AC? There you go. That's when I know I can use Hills and Sass tomorrow. Is I have a right triangle where I draw the altitude to the hypotenuse. Let's talk about the other parts of this triangle while we're here. How about BC? BC would be the what? 11 as far as Hills and Sass go. That's the leg. That's a leg. How about AD? AD would be considered a 12 segment. DC, what do we got? 10? Another segment, yep. And how about AB? 21? Leg. There we go. Again, this is the diagram you can use Hills and Sass on. Don't add in 30, 60, 45, 45. All right, speaking of Hills and Sass, let's talk about it. All right, who's got Hills for me? An explanation of Hills. 5, what's the H?
Hypotenuse.
Which one? Because I got 3 of them in this diagram, actually. The hypotenuse of which triangle?
The large.
The large one, good. What about the L?
Leg.
What about the other L?
The same.
Darn right. Same leg, everyone. Same leg. And then S?
Segment.
Which one? I got 2 of them.
That corresponds with the leg.
What do you mean by corresponds? That's a little bit above a couple people in here.
That is next to it.
Next to the leg we use, right? Segment next to the leg we're using here. Those legs better be the same. Good job, Claire. Let me go here now. What if it's a Sass problem? What do you got for me? 4, S, A, A, right? And remember, of course, these are the same because they're only one. And what's the other S? Other segment. Good. I'm using 2 different segments there. Questions? Going? We're all good? All right. Pythag. Let's talk about Pythag. What is it? What is Pythag? 2? 9? 2 for 2. 20.
A squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Good. When can it only be used, Bridger?
Right triangle.
Darn right. It can only be used in a right triangle. What are A and B referred to as? 24? Legs. Make sure those are the ones that make the right angle. And then C is your hypotenuse, right? Also tomorrow, don't forget, I may ask, hey, A squared plus B squared, you do that, and it comes out to be bigger than the C squared value. That's not a right triangle. It's what type now? If the A squared plus B squared ends up being bigger than the C squared, that's a 8. That is an acute triangle. Good. And then I'll write it down, but I won't ask anybody. If A squared plus B squared is actually smaller than C squared, that's going to be obtuse. And when you're testing, what goes in for A? I don't like to say legs. What do I put in for A and B when I'm testing it? That would be I don't like to say legs, 9. So if I give you 3, 12, 9, what are you plugging in for A and B? I was on fire there too. 18, what are you plugging in for A and B? The 2 smallest sides. Even though I don't write them in the order. You don't just take the first 2 and plug it in. The 2 smaller sides. All right? All good. Pythag tomorrow. And look, Pythag, that could be used anywhere. Hills and Sass, if you're forgetting something, 30, 60, 90, 45, 45. As long as you guys have 2 out of the 3 sides, Pythag may be an option for you, no matter what type of problem it is. All right, 45, 45, 90 now. 2 rules. for 45, 45, 90. Let's start out with 11. What do I know about the legs?
Congruent.
Legs are congruent. Done. And how do I find the hypotenuse? What's the rule to find the hypotenuse in a 45, 45, 90? 22?
It's leg times radical.
Good. Leg times the square root of 2. Make sure you don't plug a 3 in there. That's for the one coming up. All right, all good on the 45, 45. All right, what about my 30, 60, 90 now? 30, 60, 90. Whoa, I don't want that. What's that? There we go. Let me start hypotenuse. How do you find the hypotenuse in a 30, 60, 90? How's that found? 15?
2 times the smaller leg.
2 times SL. Short. And where's the shorter leg located, John?
The opposite of the small angle.
Which would be? What's the smallest angle in this triangle?
30.
Across from the 30, right? Across from the 30. And I got a longer leg across from the 60, and that's found by 27. Radical 3. Good job. Okay. And that's it as far as the quiz goes, as far as the topics go. Now, there's some other things you got to keep in mind, all right, that I can't help you with. All right, first thing, what if I see this tomorrow? Let's say I'm doing Pythagorean Theorem, and part of the Pythagorean Theorem is y plus 3 all squared. How you handling that? How you handling that if that's part of a Pythagorean Theorem problem? 27 again.
Put that y plus 3 2 times.
Good. Yep, that's what I'm looking. I'm not asking for anything else. Y plus 3 times itself. I do not distribute the 2 in. And then I start doing a little FOIL, whatever you call it, double distribute action, right? To get that. All good? All right, next up, let's say I'm doing a perimeter problem. And my answer at the end comes out to be this. 2 radical, or the sides anywhere. 2 radical 2, 3 radical 6, radical 2, and radical 7. And I'm asking for the perimeter. You cannot leave your answer like that. That's not simplified. So what can you combine up here? What can I combine? 27 again.
2 radical 2.
And?
Radical 2.
Yep. How many radical 2's do you have now? Yep. So now here's my final answer. 3 radical 2 plus 3 radical 6 plus radical 7. And I know some of you guys get nervous. I can't leave all that written out. Yeah, you can. As long as what's underneath that's in the same. Still got a couple more here for you. All right, let's say you're doing your rules for a 30, 60, 90, 45, 45, 90, whatever. And we end up with this. 6 radical 3 times radical 3. And you know you can't leave it like that. I want it in radical form. What do you think we're going to end up with here? 12.
6 radical 9.
6 radical, zip it. 6 radical 9. And I'm hoping you're not going to leave. I can't give you full credit. Got to notice that. Go ahead, Emma. That turns into what?
3 and then 6 times
6 times 3. That's what I want to see. So we get a final answer of 18 here. All right. Can't give you credit if you leave it as radical 9 or radical 16 or radical 25, whatever. Good. I got one more radical thing to show you. That probably will happen tomorrow. All right. Say you're down to your final answer is this. X equals 8 divided by radical 2. Again, can't give you credit tomorrow. All the directions are simplest radical form. That's not in simplest radical form. Can't have a radical in the denominator. How are you going to adjust it before you leave me your final answer? 13. Good. Or whatever the radical happens to be. In this case, radical 2. Yep. All right, let's keep grinding away. What's that going to be equal to now? 2, maybe 3. What do I get on top?
8 radical 2.
8 radical 2. And what about on the bottom?
2.
That's why I did this. Still not going to accept that. Got to take a half point off at least. Why am I not going to accept that? 6? So final answer? Okay. So I know it doesn't seem like much what I just went over with the Hill, SAS, 30, 60, 45, 45, and Pythag, but also you got to worry about all the algebra too here. All right, and again, it's going to be a tough one. Maybe I'm overblowing it or exaggerating, but I think it's pretty tough because of all this too. Because of all this. And I shouldn't have to warn you every quiz because it should be a given. You might have to factor. Okay, might have to factor. You never know. All right, any questions? Okay, here's your deal today. You guys have page 23. You have 7 questions, all the way up on the 25. The answers are located right after that. All right, the reason being, this class in particular, I don't trust a few of you with your Chromebook open. All right, so that's why we now put the answers in the actual packet. All right, so there's no need for a Chromebook to come out. After you're done with those, you go to the textbook. Right at the top of the page, there's questions there, and those answers are also in the packet right after. All right, all good? Stay in your groups. You can certainly talk to everyone in your group, but don't move around. And the only thing I do not want to see, it doesn't happen very, very often in here. It happens a lot in my previous class. Do not just go to the answer key and start copying the work. Like, what are we doing? All right, what are we doing here to prepare? All right, but use each other in your group. If you're stuck, call me over. Let's go. Do like 3 in a row and see if you got them right. Then look at the answer key.